this is going to end out. We pray so, but we also know one thing. That's in your hands and that's on your shoulders. If you'd like to see this radio ministry do more than ever, these are exciting times, and we want you involved. This is a ground floor opportunity where you can be involved in Christian radio like it's not been in El Paso in a long time. And for all the borderland areas, 915-779-0016, your one-time or monthly giving. Renew your gift with KELP. If you've been with us for a while, we're counting on you as well. Or you can find us in our online portal at KELPradio.com. Join us. This is Share-a-thon on Cornerstone Broadcasting and KELP.
Looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? Live from the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and believe it or not, we are live from the heart of the world's largest borderplex. We are at the KELP Christian radio station on Monday, September 16th, year of our Lord 2024. And it's Share-a-thon week for Cornerstone Broadcasting, and we made you a promise. We made you a promise this week that there would be minimal changes to the schedule this week. And it's kind of amazing that we're able to do that. And you know why we're able to do that? It's because you guys are so amazing. We can trust you listeners to just jump in on the Share-a-thon, be a part of things, invest, and we don't have to beat you over the head too much and remind you about investing. So this week is going to be different for 915 Talk. We're going to have it every day. So you lovers of Dr. James Dobson, that pillar of American conservative evangelical Christianity, will not be on the station this week. So I hope you'll forgive me. He'll be back on next week, but every afternoon from 4 to 5, we're going to go live. We're going to have 915 Talk, and we're going to have two guests every day. One for 30 minutes and then the other for the second 30 minutes. And it's really just friends of the station who are coming by, and we're just talking about El Paso. We're talking about our lives. We're talking about the future. And it's going to be a really fun week. And just as a reminder, I announced this last Friday, so I hope everyone who's listening right now knows this, but you can now watch your radio. You can watch the radio. We are on YouTube Live. So if you're sitting at home listening to the radio, and first of all, hats off. Hats off to you for listening to the radio at home. Most people are listening in their cars, but if you're at home or you're just about to pull up, get on YouTube, look for KELP Radio, the KELP Radio YouTube channel, and like, subscribe, and find our live that's going on right now. And if you have questions or comments for our guests, the YouTube Live is where you put those questions or comments, and we'll get to as many of those as possible. So today we have a very special guest. Kenny on the board. Kenny on the board, you with me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Why is today special?
Why is today's guest special or today special?
Either one.
Okay, well, I think our guest is special because it's not Friday, it's Monday, and he beat everybody.
That's right. He's ahead of the game. And also he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
Yes.
Yes.
All of us are.
Especially you, Kenny, on the board.
Unique, yes. I don't know about the rest.
So today our first guest for this very special week is someone I consider a friend, someone I can easily sit around and talk with for hours, so I want to jump right into it. He is the executive pastor of Cielo Vista Church, Heavenly View. Love it. So without further ado, wherever you are in the borderland, let's put our hands together for the one, the only, Pastor Charlie Arellano!
Wow, Andy, I don't ever think I've had an introduction like that.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that. That's a lot.
Yeah, well, Pastor Charlie, would you like that at church if that's how you were introduced?
Absolutely not. No. Don't give anyone any ideas, please.
We put a cape on you and some smoke, and out you come. I mean,
Oh, yeah, maybe a flying cable from the back of the auditorium down onto the pulpit. How's that?
yeah, I've seen that on Instagram. I think we all have a lot to learn. Not sure which way, but Pastor Charlie, first of all, thank you for coming out. And before we get into how you came to the Lord, before we get into radio ministry, before we get into El Paso, the borderland, just a little bit about you.
Yeah.
I was texting a local pastor who shall remain unnamed, and he told me a couple things about you.
Oh, boy.
And I just want to confirm that they're true.
Okay.
The first thing is, no matter where you go in the world, whether it be Wales, Buc-ee's, doesn't matter. If you go to the 7-Eleven, what do you always buy?
I buy T-shirts.
You buy T-shirts. So that is true.
That is a true statement. I don't know where in my life that came about, but I'm a T-shirt guy. And
Okay.
So I like to buy T-shirts. Now, they've got to be appealing.
Okay.
Okay, so they've got to look good. But I do like T-shirts.
Okay, so it's a way to memorialize the experience, or?
I couldn't have said it better myself, brother.
Okay. So what's one of your favorite memories of going somewhere, and what T-shirt is that? And you only wear that T-shirt for a special occasion.
Well, you know what? Last year we were in Wales.
Okay.
And so we went on a mission trip. I went to go visit a global partner of ours.
Okay.
And so we got to Wales, and so this was kind of a multi-city trip. And so Wales first, and landed in London, went to Wales. We were going to go into Northern Africa, and then my wife and I were going to go after that on vacation to celebrate an anniversary.
So Wales, Northern Africa, then vacation.
Then vacation to
Okay.
Italy.
Oh, wow. Italy.
Yeah, Italy.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, it was suffering for the Lord, brother. Suffering for the Lord. So anyway, we got to Wales, and it was a little cooler than I had expected. Took a light jacket, and then we went on a tour of an old mining town. And so while we're at this old mining town, it was cold, and it was one of those wet,
Right.
humid, cold type of a day.
Okay.
And it was one of those just kind
Very
of
unusual for Wales.
Yes, just kind of bite through you. So we went to this one mine, and it was fascinating, but it was so cold. I could not stand it. So I saw a T-shirt. T-shirt wasn't going to do, so I bought a sweatshirt.
Oh.
Yeah, and the sweatshirt, it was a hoodie. I thought this is going to be perfect, and it was the name of the location. It said The Big Pit. So I bought a hoodie that said The Big Pit, really
Right.
kind of nice sweatshirt, and I thought that'll be good. And we take it back home, wear it in the wintertime. So next stop after we got done there, went to Northern Africa, where it's a balmy, 98,
Yes,
99 degrees.
yes.
And so I was already on a shortage for luggage, and so I had to make a decision.
Yes.
And I left the Big Pit sweatshirt in Northern Africa, so it didn't make it back.
That's a sad story.
It is,
It-
but
it-
you know what? I enjoyed it while I wore it. How's
Right.
that?
Okay. The Big Pit. I feel
Big
like that's a good sweatshirt to wear while you're doing evangelism. I don't know, just hinting at different things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that'll preach, brother.
so you enjoy getting T-shirts. You enjoy going on mission trips. You enjoy traveling. And then the second fact that I was told by this pastor I was texting with, is it true that when you were going to Riverside High School here in El Paso, you were a cheerleader?
That is a lie. It's a fabrication. How about we say that? It's a fabrication.
From the Big Pit.
Regarding being a cheerleader at Riverside High School.
Okay.
That is not factual.
Okay. Did you go to Riverside High
I
School?
did. I went to Riverside. I'm from El Paso.
You're a true son of the borderland.
I am true son of the borderland. Born and raised here in El Paso. Was born at Hotel Dieu Hospital. It doesn't even exist anymore. It was
Right.
a Catholic-based hospital here, and born there. And
There's only a plaque there on the sidewalk. Pastor Charlie Arellano was born here.
was born here. The Big
Yes.
Pit.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So you and I were chatting, I guess it was a few weeks ago, and you told me the story of how you came to the Lord. And I just love this story so much. I want our listeners to hear it.
Yeah. So, Andy, again, born here in El Paso, raised here in El Paso, and My parents were Catholic,
Okay.
raised Catholic, and so we were raised into the Catholic faith, and was very religious, if you will. We went to church,
Right.
but that's what it was. It was religion. It was a ritual. And you know what? I do say this. A lot of the foundation of my faith, I did learn from the Catholic faith in listening to sermons, listening to some of the things that happen in the Catholic faith. So, once again, raised Catholic, but I came from a little bit of a dysfunctional family.
Okay.
My dad was a World War II vet. My mom was a homemaker. And my dad actually was in the 101st Airborne.
Oh, wow.
And so went through the invasion. He was shot a couple of weeks after the invasion, and as a result of that, suffered some injuries. And he came back home, and he medicated himself, and it was alcohol. And so when I say I grew up in a dysfunctional family, my dad, again, God bless him, he did his best to raise us. He was a hard
Right.
worker, but he just could not ever defeat the demons of alcohol. And so I was raised, I saw it, and as much as I hated it, because I really did hate it, I learned to be an alcoholic just like my dad did. And so for much of my life, suffered with addiction, and started drinking at a very early age. I think I was 14 or 15 years of age when I started drinking, and it just spiraled. And so, went to school. The only thing that really saved me in high school was a band director who would speak into me, and little did I know back then, but some of the things that he would speak into my life about becoming the man that I'm supposed to be. As I look back now, and we actually have a relationship now, but he's a Christian man.
Wow.
And so,
That's
and
really
so
cool.
a lot of what I heard from him, that's what saved me, my love for music. I was a musician and played trumpet all my life, still do to this day, in fact. But anyway, that's what kind of saved me. Went through high school, college, and started in education. Went on to banking. And then
Wow.
from banking, I went to work for Fortune 500 company, and was in the business world for almost 19 years.
Okay.
And so, but through all of that, really, really struggled with the addiction. It would come in waves, but it was really one of those things that dominated my life. And so I had gotten married at a very early age. I was
Okay.
22 years of age, and it was for all the wrong reasons, and it, of course, didn't work out. Have an amazing son as a result of it. But anyway, it fell apart. Years later, met my wife now. We've been married almost 31 years.
Wow.
And so, but when we met, she was very different. And somehow I knew that God was giving me another opportunity, another
Okay.
shot at being a husband and having an amazing wife. And so things got a little bit better, but still struggled a lot. And so 10 years into our marriage, my wife said, my current wife said, I love you, but you've got to make some changes because I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And so as a result of that, both of us, we did what we knew, and that was to go to the church
Right.
and ask, what can we do to salvage our marriage because it's fallen apart.
Right.
And we were told that there would be some Bible studies, things of that nature. And again, it just seemed to repeat itself over and over again. We never were able to connect through Bible studies. And we were again spiraling. And so we were in the process of moving out of a home because we had gotten purchased, and we were going to move into another home. And it just so happens that through a friend of a friend that my wife had, we were told that there was a home that was going for sale, had not been put up on the market yet.
Okay.
And so we went and looked at the home, ended up finding out that we know the woman, the homeowner, married to a gentleman I did not know. But anyway, we went there, we looked at the home, we made arrangements to go look at the house, do a walkthrough. And as a result of that, we thought, this is it. This is our home. And one of the things that I noticed while we were there, outside of the home just being an amazing home, was there were a lot of books on the shelves about faith. and there's some crosses on the wall. And as we spoke with this couple, their speech was really different. It was just unique. And so we're in the middle of this transaction, and I'll be real honest with you, Andy. I am just waiting to scratch a check. I mean, I've got earnest money. I want to go.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation. The couple says, I think you guys are the people for this home. And the gentleman said, hey, listen, before we sign anything, I'd like to do something. And he said, can we pray about this transaction? And I thought,
Wait, the seller says this?
yeah, the seller says this.
Were you concerned he was going to back out, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started to get a little worried,
You're
right?
like, could we not pray about this?
So you know what? I thought, why not? Let's pray. I have a little bit. I mean, I'm not a total heathen. But
Right.
yeah, I'm not that guy. And so we did. We prayed, and he prayed this beautiful and amazing prayer about the sale of the home.
Wow.
And it was just so compelling that after we got done, started talking to him about my life, and he brought up the conversation. We started talking about life and where my wife and I were, and he said, I've been in your shoes, suffered with addiction early on in my life as well. So we started having a conversation about what God can do. And
Wow.
it was just this amazing conversation. We thought we were going to be there an hour. And we ended up being there till 11 o'clock at night, 4 hours.
Wow.
Just talking. And this gentleman then proceeded to tell me that he's a pastor at a church. I thought, okay, this is interesting. And one of the things that he did help said, hey, listen, he said that you understand, or you maybe realize God is looking at you. I'd like to introduce you to him, because it sounds like you don't really know who he is.
Wow.
And I
Was
said,
that hard to accept?
you know what it was?
Yeah.
It was, because I considered myself religious. I
Right.
I was born in it, and I
Right.
was raised in it.
Right.
I was an altar boy at one point in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had nothing to learn.
I had nothing to learn. So anyway, one conversation led to another, and he said, tell you what, you're looking for a Bible study. You know that we can't move for 3 months. We're this sale is contingent upon the fact that you wait 3 months, because I'm being relocated. I'm going to take over a church in Fort Hancock, Texas.
Wow.
And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, so where are you going? He said, I'd like to do this. He says, you want to learn about Bible? You want to learn about Jesus? How about if we do a Bible study here in our home? That's going to be your home. And I thought, wow. I mean, this was new for me. It was mind-blowing for me. And I thought, let's do this. And my wife and I went home. We prayed about it. But before we did that, he went over to, well, he asked me a question. He said, hey, listen, do you have a Bible? And I said, I do, but it's like the 6-pound or the 10-pound version that they give you at a funeral. And you open it, but you dust it. You make sure it doesn't get dirty.
It's in Latin. I don't understand anything that's
exactly, exactly. So he went over to his shelf. He grabbed 2 NIV full Bibles,
Yes.
cellophane, took it off, and he said, I want you to do this between now and, you want to start next week? And I said, yes. And he said, why don't we do this? We'll do this every Tuesday until we move. And I want you to, he showed me where it was, because I had no clue what I was looking at.
Right.
So he says, this is the Gospel of John, and I want you to read the first 3 chapters. And when we get back together in a week, you tell me what they spoke to you. And I thought, what do you mean speak to me? And he said, you'll know what I mean. And so that was the start of our journey. It was the beginning of our journey. Both my wife and I went home, and we were hungry. We knew we needed it. And so we start looking at this, and it wrecked me. It wrecked me, and
Wow.
specifically when I got to John 3:16. I could not comprehend how someone would do that. That
Yes.
someone named by the name of Jesus would give his life for me so that I wouldn't have to suffer.
Yeah.
And so that next week we go back and we start our Bible studies. And that afternoon, that evening, I gave my life to Christ. Both my wife and I did.
Wow.
And we did that for 3 months. And that started my journey as a believer. And what's really interesting, Andy, is that that home was our dream home. It was a absolutely gorgeous home in the neighborhood my wife wanted. the kind of layout that we wanted. And 2 years later, I ended up getting relocated to Los Angeles with the Fortune 500 company that I was working for. So in retrospect, as you look back now, it was never about the home.
Right.
It was about that moment that we would have with that pastor who would say, let me walk you to Jesus Christ.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. Just because how often, do we forget those moments in our life or not pay attention to them? Those mundane moments, and God is just so actively wanting to be a part of the situation, and that pastor just allowed him to be.
Yeah. And he's working in all things.
Yeah.
He's working in all things.
Yeah.
And we often hear this, that Jesus will meet you where you're at.
Right.
And he met us exactly where we were at.
Yeah, you're looking for a house, and this guy just says, "Can we pray about this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I was selling a house and I have someone who's chomping at the bit to buy it, the asking price, I might say, "Go ahead and sign the check, and we can pray after." Right. But he wanted to do it on the front end. It shows kind of what a person he was. So you moved you became a Christian.
Yep.
What year was this?
This is in 2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm 40.
Now. Wow.
No, I was 40.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I'll leave the $20 bill on the desk when we get done.
Yeah.
No, that was back in 2003.
Uh-huh.
I was 40 years old, and started our journey there. Started at a very small church. It wasn't really for us, and
Mm-hmm.
a neighbor told us that they went to a church called Cielo Vista,
Okay.
and he took our kids to. This is what I understand how this works. He said, "Let me take your kids to this program called Awanas."
Uh-huh.
And he said, "You know what? If you guys want to come to service, you can.
Uh-huh.
If not, maybe
have
it's
childcare and you go out
childcare
and hang out.
Go
Yeah.
watch a movie or something
Yeah.
while we do this." And so our kids just fell in love with Awanas.
That's so great.
They came back telling us, "You've got to go." So we went, and we fell in love with the church. We fell in love with, even more in love with God, and we were able to hear His word and worship, and that's where we started our journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool. So I have to ask you, because it is Share-a-thon week here.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder for those of you who really, really want to support radio ministry in El Paso, we have the very lovely Betty, Dora, and Tina in the office right now, ready to receive your calls. 915-779-0016. It's been so fun kind of eavesdropping on them throughout the day. They're just so kind and praying with everyone and just taking their time. It's really cool what's happening here on Share-a-thon week already. But I'm going to ask you, Pastor Charlie, what part did radio play in those early years of your walk with the Lord?
Yeah, you know what? And it absolutely played a humongous part in my formation, and this is why when we came to the Lord back in 2003, I was so hungry because I saw what God can do, what Jesus Christ could do in a man's life, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. I wanted to dig in, but I needed more than Sunday.
Right.
And so we were doing.
You wanted to catch up?
Oh yeah. I had 40 years of catching up, brother. So we started attending as many Bible studies as we could. But then someone said, "Hey, there's this great radio station, and there's some teachers on there that you will learn from." And at that time, in the job that I was working in, I was able to sit at a desk. I could turn on a radio, and I could listen while I worked. And so they gave me KELP.
Wow.
And so I turned on the radio, and I'm listening to giants like J. Vernon McGee.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Stanley.
Right.
And what was really interesting, as much as I just absolutely love that, there was a couple of guys who came on the radio, and they sounded like me.
Yeah.
You know what? And I know that's not the only thing, but they did.
Yeah.
And so one of them was a guy by the name of Raw Reese.
Right.
And then the other one was a gentleman by the name of Pancho Juarez.
Yeah, it sounds like a stage name.
It does,
especially here in El Paso.
It does, and I'll tell you a funny story about that
Yeah.
in just a second. But so I'm listening to these guys, and I'm thinking, look what God has done in their lives. I heard their testimonies, I
Right.
heard their stories, and then I heard their teaching.
Yes.
And while I love Jay Vernon and I love some of the others,
Yes.
these guys spoke to me because I was still a baby.
Right.
I was drinking milk.
Right.
And not that their teaching wasn't deep, but because they sounded like me, and because they kind of put the cookies on the bottom shelf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're putting the cookies on the bottom shelf for me. I'm able to take this and start growing. And so that played such an important part of my life, and I did that for years.
That's so amazing.
So does this format still play an important part in people's lives? It did back then, and I would imagine that there are a lot of Charlie Arellanos sitting out there that the same very thing is happening in their lives, and they're hungry, and they're looking, and they're searching.
Right.
And when you find quality programming like this and it speaks to you, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's been so much fun in the short time I've been here to just hear those stories, because I grew up listening to Christian Teach and Talk, Moody Radio. That's what I grew up on in my home. And when I started here at the station, I didn't know, is it still effective?
Absolutely.
And then to find out that it is has been so much fun. So, Pancho Juarez.
Yeah.
Anything special going on at Cielo Vista Church with Pancho Juarez?
Absolutely. You know, about a little over a year ago, we had a men's conference. And we had a couple of guest speakers, and one of those was Pastor Pancho. And so I knew Pancho because when we moved out of El Paso, we actually moved to Los Angeles. And so we were in Los Angeles, and when we landed there, we said, you know what, we're gonna find a church. And we had some knowledge. We knew that Raul Reese was up at Golden Springs Calvary Chapel, and then we also knew that Pancho was at Montebello, the Art Montebello. And we went and visited both, and we started attending. And so that was where I really learned to love his preaching, both of their preaching. And as a result of that, again, was able to meet him a few times. And anyway, fast forward now, here we are, years and years later, and again, Andy, my story doesn't end. There are a lot of things that happen in my life,
right?
But as a result of that, again, relationships, right? Relationships. Yes. And so as we had this men's conference, and I reached out to Pastor Pancho, and we're able to connect, and told him what the vision was for the conference. And he said, I would absolutely love to go to your conference.
That's great.
And so we had him. We had an ex-Dallas Cowboy player that became a believer, and we had both of them. We had over 400 men attend the conference.
Wow.
And just really forged a deeper relationship with Pancho and our church family. Again, Pancho has this gift of evangelism like no other.
Right.
I believe that's one of his strong giftings.
Yes.
And that day when we had our men's conference, we had close to 50 men give their lives to Christ.
Wow.
And then on Sunday, as a result of his preaching, so he was there for the conference. This is a Friday, Saturday, and then he preached on Sunday. And as a result of his preaching, just gave a strong message for Christ. And we had over 87 people give their life to Christ over 2 services. And so Pancho was with us a year ago. And the good news is we reached out to Pancho again. I said, hey, Pancho, you know what? You have just, and we've remained friends, and we talk a lot. We text each other. And I asked Pancho, hey, would you come back out and talk to our church family again? And so Pastor Larry, who is our senior pastor, our lead pastor, just a tremendous man. I think you've had him here on your show. I know you have.
Yes.
We arranged it, and so Pancho's coming back out.
Pancho's coming back out.
Yes. So Pancho Juarez is going to be at Cielo Vista Church preaching during our 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. services on October the 6th. So Sunday, October the 6th.
Okay.
He's going to be here with us. But he's also coming in on Friday, and we're going to have some time with some of our leadership, with our pastors, deacons, and elders, and just a time to pick his brain and talk a little bit about ministry. He's got so many years of ministry behind him that we always are looking to those who have been ahead of us to learn from them.
Right.
And so Pancho's been so gracious, and so he is going to be with us Friday and Saturday and then preach on Sunday. So we're really excited about that.
Do you think there's any chance he can make it out to the radio station?
Well, you know what? Yes.
That's great news.
So I have a commitment from Pancho Juarez on October the 4th.
Is everyone listening?
Yes. Are you listening, El Paso? I hope you're listening,
Yeah.
El Paso. Pancho Juarez is going to be on this radio station on October the 4th.
At
Friday.
4 p.m. on 915 Talk.
Yes.
Yes!
Dramatic music.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
I love it. I love it.
So, Pastor Charlie, thank you so much for coming out. For those of you who are just joining in, we've been talking with Pastor Charlie Arellano of Cielo Vista Church, talking about how he came to the Lord through what many would consider to be a mundane situation, a good reminder for us to keep Jesus at the front in all the situations in our lives. He shared a little bit about the place that the radio station played, especially in his early years with the Lord, and he shared the earth-shattering news that Pancho Juarez is going to be at Cielo Vista Church on October 5th and 6th, and he'll be here at KELP at 4 p.m. on October 4th, Lord willing. So, Pastor Charlie, always a pleasure. Really appreciate you coming out.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's good to call you friend.
Yes, for me as well.
All right.
Likewise. So we're about to take a break, and then after the break, Kenny on the board, guess what's going to happen?
We get donuts.
No, your microphone's not on, Kenny on the board. That's like your
It
one
is.
job.
It is.
Yeah. So,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Oh, okay. I said
Yeah.
we get donuts.
No.
Yes.
No, after the break, we're going to have another special guest.
All right.
with
Take
him.
it
I want
easy on
the
my
donut.
diabetes.
Get Pastor Charlie donuts on his way out.
Okay.
So we're about to take a break. Do not touch that dial.
Well, hello and welcome. The day is underway, and so are we. My name's Bernie McPartland, and that means one thing, and that means it is Fall Share-a-thon time here at Cornerstone Broadcasting and your radio ministry right here at KELP. I'm so glad to have you along here. It's already been a year since we've been together. Can you believe the time goes so quickly? But I tell you what, this is one of the most exciting times of the year, especially for me. I am so in love with the ministry of KELP and each and every one of you that we've gotten to interface with through the years, and it's just like coming home. And so during our homecoming here, our job is to do one thing, and that is to raise the funds for this radio ministry for another year. Could we count on you, friend, to sign back up either with your monthly giving gift, or maybe you're brand new to the ministry and not sure what a share-a-thon really is? Well, we're going to explain all that over these coming hours and coming days so that you have an opportunity to be involved in one of the most exciting, one of the most vibrant ministries right here in the Borderland area. 915-779-0016. That's how you get involved on day one with your phone call of support. Or if you need to, we have our online portal set up. You can get to that anytime at KELPradio.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day. Keep tabs on what's going on here as we continue to raise funds and have a great time during Share-a-thon, our fall edition with Cornerstone Broadcasting and KELP. One more time, the phone number for you this morning, 915-779-0016, 915-779-0016. We're ready to hear from you.
Saturday, September 21st, save the day for a celebration. Come to KELP's Post-Share-a-thon Open House. We'll close out Share-a-thon week with fellowship, food, and live music, featuring Dusty Boots, an authentic Christian cowboy band. Saturday, September 21st, 10 till 1 at our studios at 6900 Commerce. Come see behind the scenes and help us celebrate a new broadcast year. We'll see you then with your boots
I wear
on
the headphones.
right here
You don't
at
have to.
KELP.
And we're back. This is 915 Talk. And as I promised before the break, we do have another special guest. And for those of you who are wondering what is going on at KELP this week, that we do not have Life, Love, Faith, and Family on at this time in the afternoon, this is Share-a-thon week. This is the 1 week out of the year where we actively suggest that you prayerfully consider financially investing in this radio ministry. And we are keeping all of our regular programming except for 9:15 every morning. Pastor Randy and I are giving updates on how the Share-a-thon's going. And then every afternoon, it's a special treat. We have 915 Talk, and each afternoon we have two very special guests. And our second special guest today is already in the studio. She's just sitting here smiling at me. She's just such a good friend, someone I've known for many years, and my wife has known for even more years. And she is what I would call a KELP listener superstar.
An investor.
And investor, yes. She is happy to invest. You're happy to
I'm
invest.
very happy to invest.
And she even used to have a program here on this
Exactly.
station. So without further ado, let's put our hands together and give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only Mrs. Melanie Wade!
Ridiculous. I've known Andy since he was born, practically.
Yeah.
And Rachel. Rachel is actually in my small group.
Yes.
So,
Your small group isn't that small, though.
well, it's about 15 people.
Yeah.
So is that small?
That's a medium group.
It's a medium group, but it's
Yeah.
a powerful group.
Yeah, and you know the only qualification for a small group to be called a small group, that it be small. It's a growth group. It's a discipleship
Okay, it's a
group.
discipleship group.
Right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And you're learning a lot. What are you guys studying?
Well, right now, interestingly, we were studying, it's from Song of Solomon, but it
Song
was...
of Solomon. Rachel
yes.
didn't tell me about
Yeah,
that.
it is...
That's really disappointing.
It's actually 2:15, I think 2:15, but it's talking about the little foxes in the vineyards when they're ripe,
Okay.
because ministries are doing so well, they're blooming. And
Okay.
so we're looking for the little foxes that could destroy ministries.
Mm.
So we were also, and we talked about our husbands a lot.
Okay.
So I know a lot about you.
Okay.
And
That's scary.
And actually, our study is Revelation.
Okay.
So we've done a year, and we're in chapter 14, and everyone's wondering when we're going to get over it. But you know,
Okay. So, Mrs. Melanie Wayne, what time do you turn on KELP in the
so
morning?
you would be surprised, but I am a Nancy Lee DeMoss person.
Okay.
And now she has the other name, but I
Yeah.
actually knew her.
Okay.
So we call her Nancy Lee DeMoss, and she starts. I think it's 5, right?
5:30.
5:30.
You're close.
So I'm up. I start there as soon as it's sunlight. I'm out in the yard, and I go all the way through. Now it's at, Kai, you've changed your programming. So it's at 10 that I go in, and I think that's Stanley, Charles Stanley.
You're close.
I'm
9:30 is
close?
Charles Stanley.
So
You go in a little earlier on some days, and it's Charles Stanley.
yeah. So maybe so, because it's
Yeah.
hot.
Yes.
So I actually figure out where I am in my yard work before I come in, and then do Bible study and all that. But my life is around this station.
Okay.
So
That's amazing. You are
is
a listener
amazing.
superstar.
I'm a listener superstar.
And how many years have you been listening to
Well,
KELP?
that's why I said I knew you before you were born, kind of thing. But I actually started in '97.
97.
So you would have been what, 20?
I would have been 20, 21, yeah,
About
something
20,
like
21.
that.
Were
Yeah.
you even a believer by then?
Oh, come on, Mrs. Melanie Wade. I was walking with the Lord.
Yeah. Okay, so you were with YWAM and,
Yeah.
and all that. So we did the Luis Palau Crusade. George was the city chairman, and we met Pam McClatchy
yes.
at that time. And so Pam and I became fast friends. She was doing all the advertising for the crusade and all that. And she introduced me to the station, and from then on, I've just listened. So how many years is that?
That's a lot.
97, that's 26 years.
26 years.
Right.
That's pretty great.
I'm pretty faithful.
The Lord is faithful.
The Lord is faithful, and I'm faithful
and
to Him.
And His faithfulness is exhibited through us.
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, I grew up an Episcopalian, so we were a little Bible deficient.
Right.
And-
Is that why you didn't want me to do any Bible trivia today?
Exactly. It's exactly. No, because I listened to Sammy DePasquale and David Kaufman, and they blew it on the Revelation things.
They
and I
blew
thought,
it, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah,
and I
it
thought,
was really shameful. But they're
Sammy also blew it on the red and green.
I know, right? And it's probably because of their Episcopalian background as well.
Well, Sammy has a better background than David. No, David was non-denominational, so
Yeah.
he was okay.
He
too.
should have done better.
Yeah, when we first got saved, we opened those little white King James Bibles that were like 3x5
Yes.
and cracked open those pages, and our teacher would say, "Look at Psalms." We're all going, "What is Psalms?" But the station fed me. That's how really I got Bible literate.
Okay. So you've been listening to the station for 27 years.
Right.
And you've been discipled by the station.
Right.
So I do think it would be worthwhile to just see how the station's doing. This isn't a test of you. It's a test of the station. So without further ado, Kenny on the board, cue up the lightning round.
Oh no.
Kenny on the board, the lightning round.
better not be enchiladas.
Yeah. So I think you're going to do just fine because you claim to listen all the time.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So
but I have terrible memories,
yeah.
so
First,
I'm old.
First question: red or green?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
That is the correct answer?
That is the correct answer.
Okay, Mrs. Wayne says that's the correct answer. Kenny, hit
Red
it
or
up.
both.
Yeah. There's thunderous applause. She's not wearing her headphones. All right, and then where's your favorite place to answer that question?
Okay, so they're all over the city, and you don't ask the right question because you're supposed to ask about tacos as well.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the Little Diner with
Okay.
the green and red enchiladas, right?
Okay.
There's Gorditas at JJ's on Donovan.
Okay.
There's Lucy's,
Right.
everything, Tacos Antonia.
Yeah.
You never mention tacos. And now George found a new place called El Beso
El Beso.
on Donovan, has fabulous tacos.
Okay. Well, I
So
feel
you see,
like
you have to say red and green because it
Yeah.
just goes all over.
Yeah, I love this, Mrs. Melanie Wayne, that you came in and it really feels like you had to get that out.
I
and,
did.
And share that with
I had
me.
to get that out
So-
because no one has mentioned those.
Everyone just says L&J's.
I know, and they're like Central El Paso, but
Yeah.
you know, it's all over the city.
Yeah, there are all kinds of places.
Right,
You mentioned a few.
right,
Love
right.
it. Okay. In the Central Plaza,
Okay.
what is the theme?
What is the theme
Yes.
now, today?
Yes. Of the Central Plaza. All the time, not just today.
I have no idea. Is it alligators, lights?
It
What
is alligators. That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm a historian, so
Yeah.
this is,
How many alligators are in the sculpture in the Central Plaza?
one, right?
That is
Isn't there one that's
Kenny on the board shaking his head.
It's like one lifting its head, and that's probably one at the down below.
Either side, there's a total of 3. It's
Okay.
okay. So you asked me not to do any Bible questions.
No Bible questions. Like, what is your favorite verse? I always go, he wept,
Yeah,
because it's the only one I can.
Moses' wife's name.
Who?
Moses' wife.
Moses' wife?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's because you're Episcopalian. KELP has not been doing very well for 27 years. You know, one person got it right, and they said it's not because I'm reading Exodus. They said it's because I watched The Prince of Egypt. The correct answer is Zipporah. Okay.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
Miriam, she had leprosy. all that.
Yeah, that's his sister.
Yeah, that's his
don't get
sister.
the two confused.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, second question. Why didn't Noah fish while he was on the ark?
Why didn't he fish? Because it was all shut up.
That is the correct
Yes.
biblical answer. However, I always say it's because he only had 2 worms.
I knew.
Okay, final question of the lightning round. If you had the opportunity to send a text message to everyone in El Paso and Juarez in the language that they're most comfortable with, what would that text message say?
What would that text message say?
Yes.
Listen to KELP.
Oh, that is correct.
And donate.
And donate. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So for those of you who are listening right now and you're like, man, this is amazing, I want to donate, call 915-779-0016. The lovely ladies, Dora, Betty, and Tina will be very happy to talk with you, walk you through the
Yes.
process. It's so easy.
You know,
It's so easy.
I did tons of share-a-thons here.
You did?
I did. I did.
Tell me a good share-a-thon memory.
Well, a share-a-thon story.
Yes.
I think that the best thing about a share-a-thon is people call in and they tell you about how the station has changed their lives.
Yes.
And they're quite incredible.
Yes.
I mean, from all over the world. But, people who are driving and they pull over the side of the road and they accept Jesus and,
Right.
all kinds of things. But I think my story's really with the station more who we interviewed. We had, what Pam and I did after the crusade is we started a program on Friday afternoon,
Yes.
similar, and we interviewed missionaries from all over the region. Or
Okay.
like you did with Charlie at
Yes.
Cielo Vista, and let people just tell their story. And the missionaries that are in this area are just incredible. Their stories are quite incredible.
Right.
And it's interesting the way God has brought people to the border,
Right.
like you.
Like me.
Exactly. I mean, I do want to ask you a question.
Okay. Okay. So Mrs. Melanie Wayne is such a good friend. I'm going to allow her to ask me a question, but first we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Do not touch that dial.
Saturday, September 21st, save the day for a celebration. Come to KELP's Post-Sherathon Open House. We'll close out Sherathon Week with fellowship, food, and live music, featuring Dusty Boots, an authentic Christian cowboy band. Saturday, September 21st, 10 till 1 at our studios at 6900 Commerce. Come see behind the scenes and help us celebrate a new broadcast year. We'll see you then with your boots on right here at KELP. Welcome to Cornerstone Broadcasting at KELP and our Fall Sherathon. You know, this is our very first day that we're together for this 2024 edition, and we're so excited. I'm Bernie McPartland, by the way, and so glad to have you with us. Ministry programs stay on the air during our Sherathon event so that you get the ministry that you need. We're on the air so that we can get the financial backing that we need to keep those programs on the air for you. And it is such a joy. We're not here to talk you into anything. We are here to give you the opportunity to do what you do best, and that is give from your heart to this radio ministry that's been on the air for over 40 years. It's such a legacy in the Borderland area here, and we want to continue that just one more year. Through our Sherathons, that's essentially what we do. We have a whiteboard of support, and we wipe it clean during our Sherathon events, and we start all over for the coming year. So if that's you, if you're brand new to KELP, then we ask for your support. Maybe this is the first time you've ever given to a radio ministry, but you found that you listen, you understand what God is telling you through some of the ministry programs. It's making a difference in your life and in your heart. And now you think maybe it's time I should share this with someone else. Someone else gave so that I could hear, so it's only right that I should give back. What a great attitude. 915-779-0016 is how you get in touch with us, or through our online portal at kelpradio.com. You can give there anytime. We love hearing from you. There's more to come in ministry. There's more to come in encouragement right here with Cornerstone Broadcasting right here on KELP.
And we're back at 915 Talk. We are live on Monday, September 16th, year of our Lord 2024. It's a special week. It's Sherathon week here at the station, and that means that we have a minimal number of interruptions to our regular programming, so you can get all that biblical teaching, preaching, talk in like you normally would. And there are two exceptions. Every morning from 9 to 9:15, Pastor Randy and I go on the air and just talk about what's going on this week in the Sherathon. And then from 4 to 5 every day, we have a special edition of 915 Talk, and with two special guests every afternoon. And right now we're with the one, the only Mrs. Melanie Wayne. And before we went to break, she said she's going to ask me a question.
Well,
so I'm ready.
Of course, because I was telling Andy that I used to have a talk program on this station, and I want to know how I know it was very traumatic for you to leave Russia.
Yes.
You've had some time now.
Mm-hmm.
Has it settled in God's purposes for lifting you out of there and planting you here?
Has it settled in? What does that mean?
You understand now. You can see purpose.
Well, I can definitely see purpose.
And
I definitely see purpose, and I definitely see that my wife and I and our kids have found a place in the community, a way to serve. To be honest, though, I kind of wonder if the Lord couldn't have come up with a different way of putting us through that process than war.
Than war? I don't know. You would have been hard to dynamite out of the place.
That's true.
But you know, when we used to read your Handy Wretched,
Yes.
isn't that it? Handy
Yes.
Wretched journals?
Yes.
They were so fabulous from Perm. There was just a sense that you had a vision for broad evangelism.
Right.
So this kind of is even broader.
Possibly. I mean, El Paso isn't quite as big as Russia.
But your audience is broader.
Yeah. So I do see coming here to El Paso that in a lot of ways it's a mission field. I see that I'm just going to say it, the church has lost sight of the fact of how unchurched this city is. The church in El Paso just does not see that. And the numbers I'm hearing is less than 6% of the population is at church on Sunday morning in El Paso, and that's including the Catholic Church. And so for us to congratulate ourselves because our church is growing isn't enough.
Right.
And we need to be more missional, more intentional. And that's part of the reason we're doing 915 Pray every morning and every evening on KELP, is so that we can get the believers just to start praying for this region, because we really need to see God move. It's a religious region, but it's not an area where
Not a
peop-
spiritual.
Yeah, well, it's,
But I mean,
yeah,
in a-
yeah,
in
yeah.
a-
Most people don't know the Lord in a personal way, and
Right.
Pastor Charlie was just talking about that.
So, and then, but you always had to raise money for what
Yes.
you were doing.
Yes.
How is it different here at the station, raising money?
Well, the big difference is I don't know the supporters here for the most part.
Oh,
And so it's very interesting not to have that personal relationship. And so that's why I'm excited. On Saturday, we're going to have an open house here at the station from 10 to 1, just inviting everyone to come out to the station, 6900 Commerce. It's just south of I-10 across from the Cielo Vista Mall. Get a tour of the station. We're going to have live Christian cowboy music. Did you know this,
yes.
Melanie Wayne?
It's Dusty something. Dusty Boots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dusty
That's
Boots.
right.
Right,
Dusty
right,
Boots is
right.
going to be here. And really, we need to be building relationship in real life.
What are you finding out about the listener? What's the as you've studied the demographics and
Yeah.
all that? What am I the old person? Am I the typical one? or is it,
Well, you're not an old person, first of all. We're in radio
By
land,
so-
so people can't see
Can't
you.
see me.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
he's laughing in
Kenny
the
on
other
the board
room.
is laughing a little bit too much right now. But I think what I was surprised by is how many middle-aged men are
Really?
yes, are very passionate listeners to KELP. Just like Pastor Charlie was talking about when he came to the Lord, he was in his 40s and he was looking to catch up on his discipleship, 40 years of discipleship. And so he just, every moment he had KELP on.
Oh.
And so there's this, and the demographic is these middle-aged men who, I'll say that they have some level of success in life, either through their occupation or owning a business or whatever, and they just love this station.
Are they driving? Is that one of the reasons? Or I mean, are they in an office and have the station on?
I
or-
think it's both.
Okay.
I do think it's both. And we do have a lot more people listening on their phones, streaming on the internet, and we are praying that God would provide so that we could have a station app.
Right.
That's absolutely
Wow.
necessary. And just all these other ways to get the word out.
But they have means to support the station. What you're
Yeah.
finding.
Yeah, but it's not just about that. It's just fun to find out these men in their 40s, early 50s who love KELP.
Yeah. I can't imagine not having that as part of my daily
Yeah.
life. I honestly can't.
Right.
But I know you have vision for, you're a visionary.
Right.
So you have vision for all kinds of other ways to expand.
Yes.
And that just takes funding.
Yeah, well, I love someone coming in who has experience with share-a-thons.
Yes.
So give me your best pitch, Melanie.
Okay, my best pitch is
For our listeners.
For your listeners.
Yes.
The best pitch is that even though it feeds me, I recognize it feeds so many other people
Right.
that don't have access to churches or live. You're even international.
Right.
I don't know if you knew it, but I remember sitting in Arnie's office and looking. He would show me on the computer
Yeah.
where their audiences were, like in the Middle East and
Yeah.
all over the place.
I sit in his office now, his old office, and I do the same thing.
I
It's
hope you
fun to watch.
re-wallpapered it.
Yeah.
Did you?
There's nothing wrong with that wallpaper.
That flowers?
Well, yeah, once you've been there a few days, it seems
It just
totally,
kinda-
yeah.
So how do we convince the listener? I would just say it's such a tremendous investment, and we tithe to our
Yes.
church,
Uh-huh.
but it's over our tithe, and we just think it's worth the
Right.
investment.
Yeah.
The bang for the buck kind of thing. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the one thing I've been thinking about is so many people have Netflix, other streaming services. In our house, we have YouTube TV. There's a monthly cost, and we pay that monthly cost for ourselves.
Yeah.
For radio, you don't have that. And if you give, not only does that help you out, it's helping out the whole community. It's kind of fun. Like with YouTube TV or another streaming service, whatever it could be, when you pay that amount, it's just for you. Here you're giving it and you're paying it forward. And I was going to wait till tomorrow to talk about this, but
Go ahead.
Mrs. Melanie Wayne, you
Has-
have inspired me. So I have a big announcement. It's actually a prayer need. And we are in the preliminary talks and prayer and discussion about another station. And so what I want people to understand is as you give, we do have to keep things going. There are many updates that need to take place, many. I hope that people have noticed, for example, that the AM signal is much better than it was. But there's other things that need to happen.
I notice.
I love it. Mrs. Melanie Wayne
Has
noticed the improved.
noticed it.
Yes, the improved signal. But it's not enough just to stay with where we're at, and we need to reach more people and with biblical teaching and talk. And we're looking at another station for El Paso that would be the same format as KELP, but in the Spanish language.
Okay, so
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day
Yes.
is in terms of there. You know, I just will say this. I know a lot of people listen to stations that have music.
Right.
I'm so appreciative that I get teaching all day long. I know you're more trendy.
Yeah,
and all
I
that.
am more trendy.
Are you? You wouldn't lean that way, would you?
No,
You will keep the teaching.
no, because
programs on.
here's the thing. I enjoy listening to music, but I can pull that up on my phone anytime with Apple Music, or there are great Christian music stations. If someone wants to listen to music, they can turn those on. However, if you want discipleship, if you want biblical teaching and discussion, you can always go to KELP. And what's interesting is this type of programming is dying. And so there are people all over the United States streaming because they're looking for teaching. They're looking for
Exactly.
discipleship. And I hope that we are offering a good lineup. I hope that it's meat, that it's useful, and it's building people up.
Yeah, you've changed some of my favorites, but
Yeah.
I
Do
do
you
like
forgive me?
Colin Smith.
Yeah, you like Colin Smith.
Very
That's
much.
Good. Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
like
do.
that. 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's right in the middle of my, radio time.
Yeah.
But also, your point was, I think, investing in a station where there's a lot of teaching and discipleship in the top. I mean, you're not. These are. I mean, I know we have some dead people like Vernon McGee.
Yeah. Well, he's alive with the Lord.
Yeah, he's alive with the Lord.
Yeah.
But the teaching that goes on all day is so different than just listening to music
Right.
all day long. And it's worth that kind of investment because it's very rare. I have friends that go all over the country. They say they can't find a station like this one.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
the
love it.
teaching station.
Yeah.
Right.
So I hope you've forgiven me for the updates to the scheduling. Have you
I
forgiven me?
have forgiven you. I think Jay Seculo needs to find a place.
Okay.
But other than that,
Yeah.
everything else is great.
Yeah.
Doesn't he love
well,
it? He's crossing his eyes at me. No.
Have you been listening to Janet Partial?
I have.
What do you think?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, good.
Good? Just good.
Good.
Okay.
No. I'll see.
Okay. You're withholding. Okay, so Mrs. Melanie Wayne, there were so many other things we could have talked about.
But
About
I'd rather
your-
talk about you and the station.
But we didn't get a chance to talk about your program you used to have. What was it called?
I have no idea.
You don't even know what it was called?
No, it was just on a Friday afternoon. I think it was at 2:00.
Friday afternoon.
And Pam and I did it, and we mostly just laughed at each other.
Oh.
But we always had guests, and we allowed them to talk occasionally. But it was so much fun.
That's so
and then
great.
it just kind of died out. I guess we just got busy, and one day we weren't on. We didn't even announce the ending or anything.
You just
we just were gone,
that's
like a bad relationship.
that's
You just
that's
drift off.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
So in the minute we have left, Mrs. Melanie Wayne, there's my question: what would your dream be for KELP in the next years?
The dream would be
Or the prayer?
The prayer and the dream, yeah, because I do pray for you. Really, the expansion. I know the technology is much more complex,
Yes.
and so you all have to upgrade. So
Yeah.
I would pray that God would meet every need that you have technically, and that you would get this new station if it's His will,
Right.
and that you would expand even more into more cities.
Amen. Well, we're working on that as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
So just.
I hope I'm alive to see it,
Yeah. Well, I hope so as well.
or raptured. And then
Or
I won't see it.
raptured. Yes.
And we'll leave notes for people what to do.
Exactly. They're in the filing cabinet. Keep things going.
I love you guys. I love Rachel. I'm so glad to have her back in our lives. And
Yeah.
we're just grateful y'all are here again.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Melanie Wayne, for coming in.
You bet.
I really enjoyed it. And just as a reminder to our audience, this is Share-a-thon week. Give us
Donate.
a call. 915-779-0016.
Yeah.
We'll be back on tomorrow at 9 a.m. with Pastor Randy, just for 15 minutes to give you a little update. And then tomorrow we'll be at 915 Talk again at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you can watch all of this on KELP Radio on YouTube. So be sure to do that. Thanks for listening. This has been 915 Talk.
You're You've been listening to 915 Talk on KELP Christian Radio. To listen to past recordings of 915 Talk, just visit KELPradio.com and click on the 915 Talk link. Until next time, love your neighbor, love your city, and give God all the glory.
Hi,